Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Miyuki and this is Let's Make Art, and we letter together as a community every week. And we are doing something fun that if you have kids, grab the whole family because I love for everyone to do this together. We are making these fun, colorful watercolor bookmarks. So there are a few different supplies, you don't need a lot. The first thing is watercolor paper. I'm using the Canson watercolor paper that we have, and then I'm using 3 different colors. So the 3 colors are, that was really small, red, azure blue, oops, I need a lot more water, and then deep yellow. And then for lettering, I'm going to be using, this is the Round Zero Princeton Heritage brush that I'm using. So that's one lettering tool. The second lettering tool is the Fudenosuke brush pen. So this is a brush pen that you can use right out of the cap, right out of the bottle, I was gonna say. So you don't need to, you can use this for watercolor, the brush for watercolor, and then you can use the pen right away. So it is a brush pen. So you can see that you can create thin and thick lines, which I'll go over in a second, or in a little bit. So those are the different supplies. There are, I forgot to say this earlier. There are 5 steps. So the first one is I'm going to show you how to cut, or how I suggest for you to cut the watercolor paper. The second is we're going to mix the paints. The third is the foundation strokes. So this is, if you are new to lettering, this is a great way for you to practice and to get comfortable with this. So this is something you can download our website at letsmakeart.com. And then 4th step is paint the background, and then the 5th step is the different lettering that I will show you how you can do. So there's so many different ways you can do this. You can make this all on your own. I just wanted to give you a few examples to give you a jump start. So bookmarks. I'm gonna have Keenan use his lovely voice.
Oh dear.
To explain, so this is if you can see, this is a 9x12 watercolor paper, which the Canson comes in that size. Bookmarks are typically, the standard size is 2x6. And so I wanted to show you how you can maximize one piece of paper. So Keenan is going to explain, can you read that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so what's the step 1?
Step 1. To maximize the paper for your bookmarks, I suggest cutting the 9x12 watercolor paper in half to 9" by 6".
Okay, step 2.
Then cut into, I think that says 2" strips.
Yeah, 2" strips.
To create 2x6" bookmarks. This will make 8 bookmarks total.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Step 3. You will have a small piece left over, and you can use that as scratch paper to test out your watercolors.
There you go, thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is also a template that I made that you can get on our website. And so I also showed that there are different shapes that you can make your bookmarks out of. So you don't have to do a rectangle. You can add I was gonna say a roof or a home to the top of it.
I like the roof.
Or you can make it into a ribbon. So cut your paper first. So I already did that. So I took, the first step was I cut, like Keenan said, I cut my 9x12 in half to create a 9x6. So what I wanted to show you was a cool way to make this one. So how cool if you can double whammy and you can both practice your foundation strokes and make a really cool pattern at the same time. So that is what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna create this one. So if you want to practice first on this practice sheet, you can. Actually, I'll do it once just to show you, and then I'll go and do the rest of them. So what I'm doing is I have my watercolors already squirted out. I'm just gonna get a little bit of water, get some paint on my paintbrush. You don't need a lot. And so you can see there are arrows. Is this a cool spot? Okay. So there are arrows that go up and then that go down. So what's happening is the motto is thin on the up, thick on the down. So what that means is the amount of pressure that I'm applying. So I'm going to apply thin pressure on the up and then thick pressure on the down. So can you see how this paintbrush is smushing?
Smushing.
I know, I always say that. What would you say?
I don't know.
Okay, what am I doing to my brush?
Smushing's better.
Smushing my brush to create a thick line and then a thin line. So you can see that on this practice worksheet, I did one that's a light gray so you can trace over that, and then you have room to practice on your own if you'd like. But like I said, if you'd like to do a little two-in-one special, you can practice. I'm gonna go to my deep yellow. So I'm gonna practice on my watercolor paper. So if this is your first time using watercolor paper, there are two different sides, at least for this one. There's a rough, a little bit textured side, and there's a smooth side. For watercolors, we recommend using the rough side, but if you've already started and you've done the other side, do not worry, it will still work totally okay. So I'm gonna do the same thing as I'm going to, if you wanna have this guide next to you, is I'm gonna do the same strokes. I'm gonna go thin on the up, thick on the down. And so as you're doing this, it will be helpful to practice because can you see as I'm doing these strokes, I'm starting, oh, maybe I shouldn't start with yellow. It's okay.
It looks good. It looks good.
I'm just thinking of you guys and this is what you see. So can you see how it started to disappear? So because this brush is so small, you might, depending on how saturated of a color you'd like, it's okay maybe if you do one stroke and go and dip, maybe on every one. So that is up to you. So you can practice the different strokes. So I'm gonna do this next stroke, but can you see how now you can also play with different colors? So I have the red and the yellow, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to pre-mix so that I can do the rest of this sheet. So I'm gonna pre-mix a few more colors. For reference as well, this is included in your box. This is new that I wanted to do for you this month. And so you'll see that there are the three main colors that we have. We have red, deep yellow, and azure blue. And if you don't have those exact colors with us, if you have a red, yellow, and blue, you can do this whole color palette as well. So we're gonna make an orange, and a red orange and a yellow orange. So I want to show this because even starting with these two colors, you can get these three colors that create a gradual sunset look. So I'm going to do equal parts. So whether you do 2 or you do 3 drops, that's up to you. So I'm going to do equal parts in this well. And this is a palette that we have on our website. I like it when I'm mixing colors like this because it mimics the color wheel. So I'm going to do more red here, because it's closer to my red, and then I'm going to do less red here, and then I'm going to do more yellow here because it's closer to my yellow. I already did that, and then I'm going to do less yellow there. So when I mix it, we should get 3 different shades, and if you want it to be more drastic of a change, you can always adjust. But so this should be, I'm gonna do the second stroke, which is thick on the down, thin on the up. So there we go. So that is a yellow orange. It kind of looks, so that looks more like an orange. If you wanna make it more yellow and have it be a more gradual change, just add a little bit more yellow. No worries at all. So I'm just practicing these foundation strokes. You can do the whole sheet, you can do half the sheet. So the next one, so this one should be more orange. So the second stroke is going thin on the up, thick on the down, thin on the up. And if this is your first time doing the foundation strokes, it's okay if your strokes look like this. I'm not so worried, I just really want you to get your hand warmed up. So it's okay if you don't want to focus too much on them. Just paint away. I just wanted to show you how you can create those different strokes. So I'm going to, so these are the other examples. Let's see, what I'm thinking is I'm going to show you how to now do a couple washes. So what I suggest to do is, if you haven't done so already, take your watercolor paper, cut them into your 2x6 strips, and then can you see how, actually Keenan, which one do you like better? Do you like the look of, I did a few examples.
Oh.
Let me move those. We're gonna do some washes and have some fun with that.
The blue-green marble look one is probably my
This
favorite.
one?
Yeah. It makes me think of marbles. I used to collect marbles.
Really?
Yeah.
How fun if you did that and then if you had marbles and you moved them around in the paint.
Oh, that would be cool.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally.
Or just having fun and seeing what lines they create. So this is the fun part, and actually this would be a great one if you want to practice. A lot of techniques that Sarah's done is using either salt or what are a few other ones that she does?
Oh, yeah,
the different blooms.
Different blooms, different colors.
Different colors. So you can have so much fun with this. But what I wanted to ask is, so can you see how this one is the full wash is there, and then these ones have a white border. So all of them look great. This one, obviously you would go and you would paint it without a border. So I'm going to show you how to do these ones. So to create the white border, if you've never done this before, I'm using blue painter's tape. If you want, you can also use washi tape, which is a thinner.
Do you want to shift that to the right before you tape it down?
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's going to have to dry a little bit, so I won't
Right on it immediately?
I won't always be here.
Okay. Put it where you're comfortable.
No, I was just.
I'll adjust. You're
Okay,
good.
I'm
You're
just gonna
good.
do it right there. So it's halfway. We'll compromise. Okay. So I am using this tape. So what I'm doing is, let's see, if I push really hard, you might be able to see. You can see that I just kind of guesstimated how thick I wanted the white border. So if you want a way thicker border, you would just have the tape be halfway over this. So I just want a thin border. These bookmarks aren't too big. They branded this.
Yeah. They
It's
want everyone to
blue
know that it's theirs.
Because I have some that's not branded. So
Yeah,
this
I
is-
think we sell some online.
Yeah, we have some that's I just giggled to myself because I just realized that. So everyone knows this is blue tape that I'm using. So actually, I'm gonna save tape and I'm gonna do two at the same time. So then I'm also in the middle for Keenan and I can show you two different options.
Ooh, nice.
So the trick is to just make it pushing down, which it's okay. There's a few examples that you can see I did this and I got some paint on the side. It's okay if that happens. It happens to the best of us. So, but if you push a little bit harder on the edges to make sure the tape is secure, that will help. Okay. So now just to show you a few different ways you can play with your washes. I'm going to grab my palette. If you have a larger brush, I actually suggest to use that for your washes. This is the Royal brush that came in your February box. If you have our February box with you, you can also use the round 2 or the round 6 that Sarah likes to use. Any brush really works for this. But I'm going to do this sunset one first. And so what I suggest for this is I'm going to start with my lightest color and then move down to my darkest one. So I have my sunset array already set up. So all I have to do is I'm just going to dip in some water. I don't want too much water, so I'm going to hit off the side or scrape it off on the lip of it. Pick up some color. And this is going to be really relaxing. You're just going to paint back and forth. Whenever you feel like transitioning to the next color, dip in, and I would overlap a little bit. And if you see that transition and you want to be a little bit smoother, just go back in and get a clean brush and just smoothen that back in like that. Just kind of just wisping. So my next color, so overlapping. So I'm kind of just moving quickly. And then maybe I'll do some of that purple. That is navy. So what I need to do is I need to get a little bit more of my red to mix that burgundy color.
That's pretty.
So that I want to make that a little bit darker actually on the bottom. Okay, so that's one way to do that.
That is so satisfying to watch every time.
Because it's so peaceful.
It's just a relaxing combo, the way that it's blending.
Yeah. Okay, so another way is that, can you see how on this one now, I have color on the top and color on the bottom. So maybe you do a duotone one.
Call that a mid-fade.
Is that a hair terminology?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's usually when I get my hair cut.
So I'm gonna use, let's do a navy. So, and this is actually perfect to do a mid-fade if
Mid-fade blender.
If you want to have your quote or whatever word you're doing in the middle, so if you want to make it a little bit lighter. So I'm going to take my color and I'm going to do the same technique, but I'm just going to grab water. So I'm not getting any more paint, I just get a little bit of water. I don't want too much, so I'm scraping off the side. And I'm just using water to create a tint, so then it blends into the white paper. Now I'm going to go and grab the other color. This is my azure blue. So it's going to start very saturated. Grab and get a little bit more water. Scrape that off to not have it too damp. And then overlapping. So the trick is really the same thing, overlapping and then going back into the center. So I want to make it a little bit more saturated and go higher.
Ooh, it's always fun to put a little more watercolor in an already wet surface
to create blooms. So what
Beautiful.
Keenan's talking about actually is, I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab a lot of color, and this is already wet. It needed to be a little bit more wet, but that, see how that bloomed? Maybe if I have more water here. So this is really wet. I'm going to grab some color.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
That was really wet. But I'm going to let it do its thing. And so that's what I did when you can see the different pools and explosions. Actually, you can see it in here too. The different explosions of colors. Again, this is why this is such a fun project also for kids to create as well. So those are that. I want this to dry. Okay. So those are some options to do a big wash. Now what I'm going to do is, here's the tricky part. Where should I be? Where should I be now?
That's a good spot for the top cam.
Okay.
But the side cam is monopolized by the taped down items.
Okay, for now it'll be okay because I won't do the lettering.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to also show how cool if this is your time to be super creative. So if you've been a part of our watercolor group, actually, I know that they did a challenge that was the Watercolor Bookmark Challenge. And so what if you take any of those projects or any of the projects that we've done here at Let's Make Art and put it onto a bookmark? So this is a simple one that I actually did that was a combination of one of Sarah and I's. So Sarah has done a bunch of scenery ones that are really beautiful. And then there was one that we did in the summer box. If you were here with us for that, we can link that as well if you want to find that out. But all I want to do is I'm creating the same sunset type of look, but I'm just creating hills and creating a scenery more from it. So just wanted to show that as an example. So now this is a little bit more dry. I'm going to go back, and now I have my color all set up. Draw my curve, fill it in. When you get down here, I'm just going to touch up right up against it, and because it's dry, it won't blend and bleed. There you go. So there's the second one. So now I have my lighter yellow green, or I have my yellow green, and I'm going to make it a little bit more yellow as I move up to my sun. That is very yellow green. Let's see, I'm just going to go for it. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to draw another curve, another hill. Paint that in.
This is also very satisfying to watch.
And I was going to say that it's interesting as I'm doing this with you guys, you can see, I don't know if you can tell.
It's hard to see. I can see it from my angle, but from the top cam, it's hard to see.
So if I push, maybe you can see the difference. So this paper is starting to...
Yep.
Is buckle the other way, or is this buckle?
Bend?
It's bending.
Bow.
I just hear the word, your paper buckles. Have you heard that before?
I have. I think of buckling under, like it buckles under weight. So it goes down when it gets buckled.
Yeah, so I was gonna say this is the opposite of buckling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's bending. It's being like an inch.
Bowing.
A what?
A bow.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a archery bow.
Yeah.
Bend.
So it's coming, all I was saying was it's coming up. So it actually might be more helpful if this is annoying to you to tape to your paper. So I'm gonna do my last one. And I'm just gonna do yellow, make the sun yellow. And I thought these would be really fun gifts if you guys want to give these to your loved ones, especially for I know what's going on with everything. You might have more time to read. So why not make some bookmarks for your loved ones for them to enjoy? That kind of looks more like another hill, but I'm gonna go with it. If you want to add some sun rays, you can, but I left some room because I want to draw a name once this is dry. Okay. I have so many different things going on over here. The last couple, if you want to get this ready, I'm just going to show, but not actually do. So these are ones I had done before. If you remember, I will show it again. If not, on this practice worksheet, there are a few different shapes. So what I suggest to do is cut one of these out, or the one that you want to do, and use that as your template. So your watercolor paper will be like this. Take your template, pretend this is your template, place it over, trace it around, and then cut that, and you will have a cool bookmark. So then what you can do is you can take any of the techniques we've done, you can add some watercolor wash. I did the same one where I did it really saturated, and then I made it lighter as it went down. This one I was playing with a few different colors. There's that cool bloom that Keenan was talking about. So have fun with all of that. That's another example. And then another one is that, let's say you have a quote that you want to do. I did this where I just picked, I think I used the colors that were left over on my palette, made it into more of a rainbow, and I just did a swatch for each one. And then for the last step for the lettering, once everything's dry, I'll show you how I did this. But it's just interesting. It's so cool to see everyone is going to look so different because I did this, I think I did this a while ago. I had a lot more paint on my paintbrush versus this one. And I did I added blue into this as well. So it's just cool to see so many different options. Okay, this actually, is dry.
Nice.
Look at that. So I'll be able to use this. Yes. If you want, you can, maybe I'll leave this one there. Yeah, I'll leave that one there. If you would rather letter with it taped down to the paper, you can. I want to show this one as a horizontal quote. So I can't, I mean, unless you, yeah, I could shift, but for your purpose, it won't help you. So I'm going to take this off. And then when I'm doing this, I need to go slow because you get really excited, and I've ripped paper before, which again, it's okay. It happens to all of us. But if you go slow, it's a practice in going slow. So
I have yet to use tape and not rip the paper.
Oh, really?
I'm not very patient, so I tend to get excited. Especially when it's gonna look good. It's like, ooh, this is gonna look sweet.
I know, it's such a cool, this is so satisfying.
Yes.
I'm excited for you guys to try it. Because it's so fun to see such a crisp line. But there we go. Rip that off.
That's a pretty sunset.
Okay. What do we got here? We have so many fun things to play with. I want to start with the watercolor lettering because you were using the watercolor brush. Let's start with that first. And so you can see on Ella's name right here, what I did was I used watercolors, and that's one of the reasons why I love this. Is such a powerful tool. It's really small. I know it might be intimidating, but that's why I had suggested in the beginning to practice with your foundation strokes and just to start to get to warm up, because I understand if watercolor lettering with a brush is a little bit intimidating if you're used to using a brush pen. But I want to show you that you can do it too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help myself.
Are you gonna brush letter on that?
Yeah.
Do you want to put it where the sunset is? Swap those?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like that? Okay.
Perfect.
Sweet. Okay, so because it's moving, I'm gonna help myself, and I'm just gonna tape this down. Okay, so let's see. Let's get my colors. So I wanna have some, I'm getting some of my azure blue, and then right here I'm just gonna have some yellow. You're gonna have paint all over, but I'm gonna mix the two of these just to get kind of an in-between. So this color would be, looking on our chart, I mixed azure blue and I mixed deep yellow, but I had more azure blue, so it created more of a blue-green. So I'm gonna have that. So when you're doing this, dip into your water. You don't want a lot of water, so again, I would scrape it off to the side, mix in the paint. And if you want to do this in pencil first, you can, but what I would do if you do that is draw it pretty light. I know you can't see that, but I just want to show you can do that. But because watercolors are transparent, you don't want to go too dark, but I would 100% recommend that if that feels more comfortable to you. So I'm just going to I picked up one color, and I am kind of letting the brush do its thing. But if you want to be focused, just think about the different amount of pressure. So I'm going to go, and I'm actually going to pick another color, and I'm going to get some of my deep yellow. Is the palette in the shot?
It is.
Okay. Pick up some of my deep yellow and just mix that in. Just get a little bit lighter of a color. I'm going to overlap. Thick on the down. Maybe I get some more yellow. Thick on the down. It doesn't need to be exact. You can mix. Maybe I go back to blue or go to blue. If you want, I would just, maybe I'm going to dip some color there. Thick on the down. Then her name's going to go off like that. Ooh.
Lovely.
That looks fun. So as you can see, all the colors kind of blend in together, and that was just because I worked pretty quickly, but then you can just overlap to the next color that you're using, and that's how you can blend them if you'd like to do that technique as well. So that's using a brush. If you don't want to do a script lettering like that, you can do also a block style lettering. So an example is like this. So what I'm going to do is, maybe I'll do that on this one.
I think my quote on a bookmark would be little letters that say "read me."
Little letters.
Yeah. Read me.
I'll do that on this one. Okay. So for this one, if you wanted to do, so you can see how I did dream actually in the brush pen, which I will show after. But first I want to show how I did this. And so this is just doing your block lettering style. So I'm going to grab a color. Doesn't matter what color you pick. Maybe you see whatever you have on your palette. And again, if you want to do it in pencil first, you can do that, but I pick up to my color. And so then I'm just going to paint. If you want, maybe you want it to be all really thick strokes, so I'm going to push harder, smush the brush to get really thick strokes. Or if you want a really thin line, you're just going to be mindful of your amount of pressure and just create a thinner line. If you want to make it thicker, just push down. So I'm just tracing my letters. If you need to stop mid-letter, it's okay. Just go and get more color. Maybe overlap a little bit like that. And then that's it for the watercolor lettering. I don't know if I have any other examples on me, but those are some ways that you can get started with your brush watercolor lettering. Now I want to show you, there are a few ones that I did that are in the Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen. So the one that you have, if you have our subscription box with us, you will have the black soft tip one. We actually do sell these if you really like them in color. The only thing is that you will notice, or if you might notice, is you might be thinking, Nicole, I have the Fudenosuke, which one do I have? Because Jessie, in one of her earlier boxes, and me as well, has used this blue body one, which is a hard tip, and the black is soft tip. You might be asking me, what the heck does that mean? Which is fair. And so, and I know if you have yours in Japanese, it might be hard to read.
It's gonna be tough to read.
Even though I'm full Japanese, I can't read it either.
Same.
But, did you say same? You're full Japanese?
No.
Is a trick if you guys do have both and you're wondering, might as well just show this. I don't know if you can see this, but if you turn and you're by the barcode, there's a few letters. It says WS-BS. So S in this situation stands for soft. This is BH. H stands for hard. So what that is referring to is, if I'm going back to my practice foundation strokes, is that is referring to the flexibility of the brush. So a soft tip brush requires less pressure, so it's more flexible of a tip. Oh, that was a weird stroke. So it's more flexible tip, whereas if I'm using the hard one, I have to push harder to get the same amount of stroke. So that might be easier for some people. Everyone kind of has personal preference, but the reason why I wanted to include the soft tip for you guys is that because this is going to mimic more of a brush, because a brush, like you are learning, is super flexible. So just a quick explanation on that. So when you're doing this, I am going to, let's do this one first. So I'm going to sketch out, I'm going to draw the word dream. Maybe I'll do this one in block lettering. So I'm writing my word. And then I'm going to also, am I okay, Spot?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to trace. So you can not think about amount of pressure, or you can think about thick line. And then if you want a thinner line, you just apply thinner pressure. Dream big. I could see my pencil lines. I'm just going to wait till that's dry and then erase that lightly after. So, what did you say? Read more? Read me.
Read me.
So actually this is a cool way to show you that this brush pen, like you had saw, is really flexible, so you can get thick lines and you can also get really, really thin lines as well. So I'm going to draw Keenan's in the middle here. And I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to try and write me, read me.
Oh, snap.
All on one line. So, ooh, can you get a close-up of that?
I can
Or
try
can
and
you
get
see?
closer.
Or do you want, well, as long as I can see the tip of my brush, it's all good.
Let me see how close I can get.
'Kay.
Stand by.
Okay, I have another idea. I'm trying to think of other fun bookmarks that you can make. This one I wrote, sorry, my weekend is book. You can do one that says one more chapter. Now, final step. Keenan's challenge. Am I good?
Good.
Okay, so if you are looking at my brush pen, like I was saying, this brush pen, if you are really mindful and want a really, really small line, you can either use a different pen, which would probably be easier. I would probably actually, a Micron pen is a really great small pen. Keenan might have one. Yeah. Do it. Oh, that was a bad throw. So this is also a great pen. The Micron pens.
I mean, that was a perfect throw. It landed on the box.
Not in my hand, though. We also sell these on our website, but you can see that this tip is super, really, really small. So you can get these as well. If you don't have that, I want to show you how you can still achieve really small lettering if you feel like challenging yourself as well. And I'm just going to be really, really mindful. And I am lightly grazing the paper and applying very little pressure. Read me. Can you read that?
I mean, with the camera, yes.
Why are you laughing?
Because I'll probably read that in your giggle voice.
There you go. You can also make your own quote. You obviously don't have to follow along and do read me. I won't go through this, but this was another example. Like I said, if you have a long quote, maybe you do one word on each line, and maybe you mix up, you do some of your block lettering, you do some script lettering. Have so much fun. I think that is all the different ideas I've got. I'm excited to see what you create. Is there anything else?
No, you did a great job.
Feel like we're good. Okay, so again, you can take that off, take it off really, really slowly. Don't be as excited as Keelan gets and just rip it. But, okay, so we have a few Facebook groups that this could be really fun for you to share, and we have the watercolor group that's called Let's Make Art Watercolor, and we have a lettering group that's called Let's Make Art Lettering. Both these are lettering and watercolors. So share what you create in either of those groups. Again, we are just here to create to create art together. We want to spread cheer through creativity. How perfect. Add a name to the top of yours, gift it to someone. Hold on, I was like, there was something else.
Oh.
I forgot, guys. Sorry. One more thing before we sign off is if you have our box, there is can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a bookmark sleeve. So what you do is you just put in your bookmark. If it is too tight, because they are a little bit tight. I want mine snug, but if yours is too tight, just trim a little bit off the edge. I might need to do that actually. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna trim just a little, actually, this would be better.
Ooh.
This is a amazing cutter that I absolutely love. Do you know what the cool thing about this, Keenan? This line, you probably can't, I don't know if you can see. If I want to cut right there, I'm looking at the inside of this thing. Can you see that?
Oh,
so my blade
yes,
goes exactly on
can.
this line. Actually, we sell these if you guys,
Yeah,
not
we do.
trying to sell you on these, but I really like this cutter for that reason, because once I discovered that, I was like, wait a second.
Thank you for coming to our Surecut cutter review.
So I'm just going to trim off a tiny bit, maybe because that got a little bit small, I'm going to trim off a little bit more. So just trim off a little bit. Now this should be easier. Yep. Easier to slide on in. So I'm sliding this in. And then, guess what, everyone? You also have a fun little tassel, which...
They also work as earrings. I did put 2 of them on.
So what I'm doing is I'm just putting it through the hole, the loop through the hole. Slide that on through, and then pull. And what a perfect gift. So that's why I wanted to include that. I'm really excited. So that was my last thing that I wanted to say. I said my Facebook group thing. Again, I hope everyone is safe and sound and you guys all together creating and share what we create so we can be a community together. Bye, everyone.